Coming up this week on Winchester's Deadly Passion, Melissa Bachman heads to Newfoundland in search of her very first moose. But the weather is hardly cooperating. The fog is set in, the winds are high, and hunting has become nearly impossible. But luckily that weather doesn't last forever. In time, the clouds begin moving out, and the beautiful countryside is revealed, along with a huge Newfoundland moose.
We just arrived to our tent camp and it's still raining out, but the good thing is tomorrow it's supposed to get a little bit nicer, so we're just going to organize our gear and head out tomorrow. Now it could be a little rainy in the morning, but we've got a pretty sweet setup and there's a lot of animals out.
Newfoundland is extremely game rich. We're talking over 120,000 moose and one of the largest herds of caribou in the entire world. Not only were the population of black bear there, woodland caribou, and moose, I could go after all three in one hunt. Being a cameraman for years, I was lucky enough to travel all over the world filming everyone else's hunts. I traveled to Africa, all over the US and Canada, but there are certain places that you vow to get back to. And Newfoundland, well, it was one of those places. A couple of years ago, I was actually up to Newfoundland filming someone else and we were on a bear hunt. Well, Bob invited me to come back as the hunter anytime I'd like. Well, I decided it was about time to take him up on that offer. In fact, this will be my very first moose hunt ever. Now here we're in a spike camp. Great little wall tent set up, everything's ready to go. So what I'm gonna do this afternoon, we don't really have enough time left to hunt. So I'm gonna go out, shoot my gun, make sure everything's on, because we've got some good hunting in front of us. In fact, here I can take a moose, a bear, and a caribou. So what I've decided to use is a 300 Win Mag. I'm using the Winchester ballistic silver tip bullets in 180 grain, and that should really be the perfect bullet and caliber for all the different animals. So whatever we see first, we should be in good shape. Now I'm gonna just go shoot, and tomorrow morning we'll be ready to hunt. Well, I just got done sighting in my gun and I'm pretty excited because it's not every day that you get to stay in a really cool tent camp like this. Now what we have behind us is actually a wall tent. We've got a little heater inside, a wood floor, so it's not like sleeping on the ground, but it's perfect because you're out here in the middle of nowhere with really nobody else around. Now our plan for tomorrow morning, I guess there's a really high mountain spot that's higher than any other place around here. So we're gonna try to get in the boat, go across and hike up to that mountain. If we can get up there, hopefully we can see all around, and really that's probably gonna be our best luck trying to find a moose or any animals in these conditions because it is really thick. The next morning, Glenn and I set out, and the first step, well, we had to get in a boat and head across. Now, it's kind of a little bit past the rut, so what we're gonna try to do, we may try calling some, but it's probably not gonna work all that well. So our plan is to basically walk up to the highest point that we can find. That way we can glass the entire area. Right now we're headed over there, but as you can see, there's some pretty heavy fog. So if the wind doesn't come in and blow this out, it's gonna make it pretty tough to see today. Either way, we're gonna try to get up there. Hopefully the fog blows out, and that way we can get a good visual. But as we got closer to the top, well, the fog started rolling in, and so did the weather. We really lost almost all visibility, and then the wind, the rain, all the nasty weather came, and it did not go quickly. Unfortunately, we were pretty much stuck right where we were, and we couldn't get out there. You couldn't see 10 feet in front of you, so we had to wait it out. And it is unfortunate when you fly all the way up to a beautiful place like Newfoundland, and then you're locked in by fog, wind, rain, but there's not much you can do. We just decided to wait it out and hope that the weather would change soon.
Tip of the Week is brought to you by Can-Am. The facts say a lot, but the ride says it all.
When you fly all the way to a place like Newfoundland, you want to ensure that your gun is shooting well. Because as you can see, the weather doesn't always cooperate. And when it finally clears, the last thing you need is a miss. So how do you avoid this? Well, obviously good equipment is a must, but practice is critical. We all know that shooting at the range, well, it can get boring. So I decided to spice things up a little bit. What I did, well, I made a trip to the grocery store, and I have a variety of items that I'm gonna shoot with my 300 Win Mag. Now, what I'm gonna be shooting is the ballistic silver tip. It's what I use for hunting, and I wanna see the devastation that it can do to a watermelon, water jug, all sorts of things. Maybe even a light bulb, an egg, crazy items to shoot, but I bet it's gonna look pretty sweet in slow motion. Not to mention, I'm gonna be getting in some good practice at the range, all while having a ton of fun.
Melissa Bachman is hunting moose, bear, and caribou up in Newfoundland, or at least she's trying to. Harsh weather conditions have limited her options. The fog and rain pretty much shut down day one, and the heavy winds are making day two a challenge. Those winds also keep any planes from moving her to another location.
Well, today the weather has really turned south. We have got nasty winds that are coming through. It's extremely cold, and it's looking like there's going to be a lot of rain. Either way, we're going to head out. It looks like the forecast is going to stay like this for the next couple of days, but hopefully the last day it'll clear up. So the moose are still out there. We're going to go try to get out there, do a little bit of hunting, but it is going to be tough. Anytime the winds kick up anywhere in the country you're at, the animals don't move much. So we're going to do our best, get out there, but my guess is it's going to be pretty tough out there, and we might have to wait till that little sunnier day at the end. One of the main factors that was causing this terrible, nasty weather was the fact that there was a hurricane hitting down at the East Coast. Well, it was Hurricane Sandy. It was beating the East Coast, and that drift was going all the way up to us in Newfoundland. In fact, we were locked in for days and days, and the weather, it seemed like it would never change. Now granted, this is nothing like the people were going through on the East Coast, but it's incredible to see the power of a storm when it's hitting all the way up in Newfoundland, and we were feeling the effects on our hunt. The winds are not lying down yet. I was hoping they'd maybe slow down, but it's almost picking up. Now it can be really tough to get any of these animals moving, but what I'm hoping is from sitting up high that maybe we can see something bedded. We can use the wind to our advantage. I mean, the wind is probably gusting 40 miles an hour. We've been in all sorts of places this year across the country where the high winds have really made hunting tough, and this is no different. But what we're hoping is if we spot one, we can get in close, a lot closer than you'd probably be able to get in on a calm day, and use that wind to your advantage. But does not make it very comfortable sitting out here and does not make glassing that easy. So one of the things that I like to do is use my shooting sticks to glass, or even set up your tripod. Sometimes your binos are moving all over the place. If you set up your tripod, put your spotting scope on it, you might have better luck glassing and be able to pick out that animal from a long distance.
Tip of the week is brought to you by Canning. The facts say a lot, but the ride says it all.
Now on this trip, we've been doing a lot of walking, and a lot of times what we're looking for is to find higher points so we can glass, because glassing is really probably the easiest way to spot animals out here and get close. Now when I get up to a high point, I like to get everything set up, but the next thing I like to do is get my spotting scope set up. Now you won't necessarily need a spotting scope on every single instance, but it's really nice to have. And weight is always an issue in the field. A spotting scope doesn't really weigh much, and if you do it right, you don't have to bring an extra tripod. In this case, I've got my bog pods here, and I can simply pull the top of this out and replace it with this adapter that fits right on my spotting scope. That way I can switch them out, and now I'm ready to check out an animal. I can get a good idea of exactly what this animal is without having to do all that walking all the way out to it. None of us want to make extra stalks or walk extra if we don't need to, so by having a good spotting scope in the field, you can check it out, and if it's an animal you want to go after, you can also use this spotting scope to plan your route. You can look through the terrain, find out where there's some dips, ways to get in close, and if you decide you do get in close, you can simply pop your spotting scope off and replace it back and have your shooting sticks ready to go, and you're ready to make a stalk.
Winchester's Deadly Passion is presented by Winchester, the American legend. Matthews, catch us if you can. Cuddy Back Digital. Bog Pod, versatility defined. Easton, expect the best. Winchester Repeating Arms. And Hunter Safety System. Even though Melissa has been weathered in for a few days, it hasn't dampened her enthusiasm for being up in Newfoundland.
When we arrived at Bob Efford's floatplane dock, well, I knew this was going to be a good hunt. His shed was lined with racks, and by the looks of it, well, they've been doing pretty well this season. The other cool part is, well, it's not just moose hunting here. They also have caribou and black bear. So if we can get lucky on a moose, we might have a couple other hunting options.
We offer basic packages at the ground access camp, from a two hunters and one guide ratio to extreme adventurous hunts to remote tent camp hunts for trophy moose.
We had lost a couple days due to weather, but as soon as it got nice, well, we planned on making that time up quickly. Heading up there?
Yeah, heading up there on that mountain.
We just got up to the top, so what we're gonna do is do a little glassing over the edge. We can see for a long ways in every direction, and luckily the fog is starting to lift, so we should be in good shape. Just sit tight here and glass and see if we can't spot some.
We get up on that hill where that rock's set up to, should be able to look right back down this way, right?
That way, if they do go up the other side,
Yeah.
we can come back around the back
Oh,
side.
there's a bit of hope on the other side too, so hopefully they come over there, right?
A lot of people often ask, well, what is the terrain like in Newfoundland? And everywhere is different. There's some areas that are heavily wooded, but where we were, you're on that soggy, wet terrain that's almost like a big sponge. And when you do find timber, well, that's a good area. I mean, these animals like cover just like anywhere else, but the terrain, it can be pretty tough for walking, and we were putting in the miles. Glenn, he was a walker. He's an excellent guide, but boy, he can move quickly. And we would go from one location to another, trying to glass, looking for areas where he had known moose to be. Finally, after hours of glassing, Well, we had a moose in the spotting scope. Now this looked to be a really nice bull, and he was with a cow, so we knew he wasn't going to be probably roaming too far. We quickly decided, first we got to get off this high area and rush over there. We shed a few layers, got in close, actually decided to drop our packs. We wanted to go in as light as possible on that last bit of distance. We made a good plan, got the wind in our favor. As we were moving through, well, we were trying to be as quiet as possible, sneaking along, and I don't know if the bull heard something, saw something, but he was locked in, dead on us. We simply froze. That's all you can do in this situation. We were frozen solid, and this bull, he was eyeing us up. But the thing is, he couldn't smell us. We had the wind in our favor, and apparently he must have thought, well, it's just another animal. And finally, after what seemed like hours of standing there, he decided to turn, allowing us to get situated.
Winchester's Deadly Passion is presented by Swarovski Optic, North American Hunting Club, Rage Broadheads, Golden Triangle Whitetail, Can-Am ATVs and side-by-side vehicles, Scent Killer Gold with Hunt Dry technology, and M&P Advanced by Design. Closed captioning is brought to you by the 4-in-1 Woodsman from Zippo Outdoor. After weather delays and hours of glassing, Melissa and her guide Glenn have zeroed in on a bull moose and moved in fairly close. The trouble is, he is zeroed in on them as well. But eventually, he relents and gives them an opportunity.
As this bull turned, I knew there wasn't a lot of time. Glenn, he got situated, and I got down on my shooting sticks and put that bull right in my crosshair. As he was standing there, I wanted to make sure I had a good broadside or quartering away shot. A bull moose, they are absolutely huge. And I was using a 300 Win Mag, so I had plenty of knockdown power, but you still want to make sure you've got an excellent shot before squeezing the trigger. I also wanted to get my nerves under control because I was really starting to shake. Finally, I calmed my nerves, had the shot, and just squeezed the trigger.
Whoa.
Huh?
Put another shell in there in case you...
I can see him. I can see him again. Should I put one more in him? Glenn?
Yeah. You got him though, he's not going nowhere.
That was awesome.
It's a good job.
That was a beautiful moose.
Excellent job, Melissa.
I'm shaking pretty bad.
Yeah, you are, yeah.
You seem to be pretty calm. Oh,
That's your first moose, is it?
that's my first moose ever.
Yeah.
We had worked hard, waited it out through the weather, and everything had finally come together.
Man, what a moose.
Look at him. What a beautiful moose.
Beautiful, isn't it?
Yes,
Nice
he
rack.
is. Not only is he a beautiful one, but he's my first one ever. Wow, look at the size of this thing.
Man,
Wow.
he's wide too.
Really nice. You got 18 points?
18 point moose.
Wow.
Big bull.
Boy, this is just an awesome moose. You know, you can see some of these. He's got cut out in here. He had to get into something pretty tough to be able to take notches out of his rack like that. Just a beautiful moose. We're out here hunting with Everett Hunting Adventures, and it has been just an incredible trip. Newfoundland is a beautiful area, tons of game all over, and when you can come out here and get a beautiful moose like this, well, it makes it quite a trip. This is my first moose ever, and I am just having an amazing time. But the cool thing about moose, well, they've got a ton of meat. And the bad thing about moose, you gotta pack all that meat out. So we got right to work before we lost any more light, and one pack after another, we got that entire moose out. Well, this is the last load. We got the rack up here, and cut off a little bit of the back straps just to have for supper tonight. We've put in a lot of miles today. It's been a really long day, but we got everything packed out. It was almost dark. In fact, we started packing a little bit in the dark, but now we get some excellent meat tonight, get some good rest, and see what we get to hunt tomorrow. With all that nasty weather that came through, well, it really shortened up the trip. And luckily, I got my moose, but I wasn't lucky enough to fill my caribou and bear tags. But overall, everything was incredible. Bob Efford flew us in, picked us up, was just a great pilot and runs a great operation. It's nice when you fly all the way up to a place like Newfoundland to know you've got someone who will take good care of you, have all the things you need, and have incredible guides like Glenn. Overall, Newfoundland's a pretty amazing place to hunt with a lot to offer.
Coming up next week on Winchester's Deadly Passion, Melissa heads to the Powder River in Montana during the peak of the rut, and her rattling antlers are getting a workout. She's hunting with good friend and guide Adam Groning of Powder River Outfitters. They're having a blast, calling in bucks, and the hunting couldn't be any better. The temps are frigid, the snow is falling, and the bucks just keep pouring in. It's not every day you get hunting this good.